For Americans interested in the future, a crystal ball or the words of a magical fortune teller are no longer required. All you have to do is watch what is happening in Turkey as this year's economic collapse pushes their already collapsing country even further into ruin. If we continue on our current path, the mighty United States may follow Turkey into total financial collapse. Since 2015, Turkish citizens have watched helplessly as their purchasing power has plummeted year after year and is now less than half of what it was. The Turkish lira, the country's currency, has fallen sharply against the US dollar and many other major global currencies. Whereas it was once 3 lira for $1, the rate has now dropped to a record low of 7.37 lira per dollar. Recep Tayyip had removed the sitting governor of the central bank earlier in the month, leaving himself as the main figure in charge. Despite his control over both policies and the country's financial systems, he was unable to prevent the lira from collapsing to all-time lows, which has yet to stop. Turks have been buying up gold at an alarming rate. In fact, citizens cashed in their savings and purchased more than $7 billion in gold bullion in less than 2 weeks. Those who rushed to the markets discovered that gold prices were rapidly surging, in one case rising by 1 lira or 0.14 in only 10 minutes. For many Turkish citizens, memories of the 2018 currency crisis were still fresh, as the lira lost 30% of its value almost overnight, putting millions across the country in deep financial trouble. Already this year, from March to May, Turkish citizens withdrew roughly $2 billion in foreign bills from their banks as lockdowns were imposed across the country and the lira fell sharply. Turkey is already heavily reliant on imports, and the country's reserves are nearly depleted as a result of the recent series of heavy-handed market interventions that have put the country in a precarious position. Erdogan will outlaw gold ownership by Turkish citizens in order to maintain power, even as the systems crumble around him and the population becomes increasingly impoverished, as is happening in the United States. It is up to Erdogan to steer Turkish citizens and businesses away from the safety nets of US dollars and gold and toward the lira. Meanwhile, the government is rapidly losing its ability to control the lira through draconian policies, according to ZeroHedge.com. Instead, they're taking a bazooka approach, blowing up a few shorts here and there, but ultimately accruing a number of serious long-term consequences that will only accelerate their timeline to collapse. The lira has continued its downward spiral, and the health crisis and accompanying global travel bans have halted Turkey's tourism industry, which brings in a lot of money. Berat Albayrak, Turkey's finance minister, stated that the problem extended beyond fluctuating exchange rates. The central bank has maintained its foreign exchange market interventions by borrowing on local dollar liquidity with the goal of stabilizing the national currency. Of course, government institutions have denied the heinous decline in national reserves, blaming the massive shifts on the current global economic climate. While promises that the crisis will be resolved soon have been made, citizens are no longer believing them. Locals are eager to dump the lira in favor of US dollars and gold at a time when international cooperation is critical. Turkey is moving further away from other developing markets. The country's money supply has ballooned, and its foreign exchange reserves have been drained faster than any other major developing economy. Furthermore, none of Turkey's peer countries have a central bank policy rate that is so disconnected from the true measure of inflation. Even as the pandemic has wreaked havoc on both developing and developed countries, the collapse of the Turkish lira appears to be entirely the result of domestic mismanagement. Turkey has become an unappealing bet for investors due to a drop in foreign exchange reserves and a backward monetary policy. Furthermore, the country's inflation rates are approaching dangerous levels. Furthermore, the central bank began to close some of the low-cost credit channels that had been established as an emergency measure to combat the economic fallout from the outside. For more such informative videos, subscribe to our channel and like the video. See you in the next video.